Archaeologists break silence on what's in the chambers below the Sphinx and the Pyramid of Giza. Ground-penetrating radar was deployed in Egypt in 1978, mapping an extraordinary subterranean complex beneath the Egyptian pyramids. Arrangements would be made with then-President Sadat of Egypt. This would result in over 3 decades of top-secret excavations attempting to penetrate the system. At a meeting in Australia in the 90s, one of the key scientists on the Giza project, Dr. Jim Hurtak, would release film footage of the excavations. This footage would come to be known as Chambers of the Deep. It was supposed to be released at the end of the 20th century, but of course it wasn't and still hasn't been released to this day. The film would reveal a vast megalithic metropolis, reaching several levels below the Giza Plateau. This would be called the City of the Gods. The buildings matched our largest cathedrals, and the technology, just wait. They figured this civilization to be 30,000 years older than you, and proceeded down a tunnel towards the Sphinx when it suddenly veered off. At this point, we knew it couldn't have been built by the giants, but instead, the reptilian race, as they would find one of their skeletons down there. It was obvious there was some sort of battle there at the time, and he was left for dead. The tunnel was then sealed and its entrance hidden. We would make our way through and it opened up to a very large room. It was here we would find stacks on stacks of large metal tablets, written in an ancient language. Well, how do you read the language? I proclaimed to the lieutenant. Exactly. We couldn't figure it out. We figured there should be some machine that would read it for you, until a scientist would press vertically on one. That's when, at ground level in front of the tablet, a hologram projected. The hologram would sit quite high off the ground and display a corner of the universe. It was very detailed and showed the process and the rotation of a star cloud. Me and the others would sit there and watch it for 2 hours. It was recorded as if they put a camera in the universe for 100,000 years and played it back in high speed. America would have needed more than a year to process and release the information to the public. You could easily have sat there and watched that one tablet for thousands of hours. I was then taken to a different chamber, where displayed was a 2-meter high crystal. It was a perfectly carved pyramid with several faces. This crystal was so beautiful and pure, you could almost see right through it to the wall. The lieutenant looked at me and said, "I left this discovery for the end on purpose, and you should know that I never knew about the crystal either. And it wasn't until I connected it to the other machine that a space-time distortion was activated. This device can project you in time. You can't interact because your body stays here." Astounded, I gulped nervously. Then I asked the question that I had been too nervous to ask the entire time. "Tell me, Lieutenant, those who built this place, did they come from outer space?" There was a brief moment of silence. Then Caesar looked me straight in the eyes. "I can tell you they're a very advanced civilization that want to help humans very much, and that during those times, the population of the world was very different, and the land masses as well. Back then, they handled problems differently." "Well, what solar system are they from? Are these the ones that collaborate with our government?" "Nope, not even by far," Caesar said. "These extraterrestrials and the ones the Americans collaborate with are the difference of night and day. And what's even more troubling is these beings are not even from our galaxy." Wait a second, how do you know all this? "I thought they left no proof of their origin." "You're right, but then we discovered this." Caesar would then show me the pedestal on which the semi-transparent cylinder was placed. "Okay, but I know it's just a replica of the one in the projection room." "Yup, you're right. 2 years ago, we didn't understand what the one in the projection room was meant for. But this one is built for our height. You could essentially call it a time machine." I'll tell you some of the time projections I achieved using this device, which is based on a very advanced technology. I saw him speaking to a crowd, and he usually liked to stand in front of everybody, especially if that crowd was a large one. His vibe was intoxicating. What the Bible depicts pales in comparison to what he actually manifested. He was actually much shorter in person, and his nose much wider at the base, but he resonated with the people. They loved to hear him talk. I projected as soon as he started giving his speech, and as soon as I did, he looked up at me, acknowledging my presence. Too controversial? Check my YouTube for more.